Hello, boys and girls. It's Miss Carolyn again, here on another walk on this glorious day in central Pennsylvania. And look what I have behind me. We are exploring a new continent this week called Australia. Now, in Australia, there are some pretty unique animals, just a few of them, that live largely on that continent. Well, today, we are going to be visiting an area here in central Pennsylvania where these big guys exist pretty much in about a couple of counties of central Pennsylvania. We're here at the Keystone Elk Country Alliance and the Visitor Center here. We're going to take a look and meet Ben, who is going to walk us, and maybe we'll even get to see some big elk, and we're going to learn about this wonderful animal and all the ways it's being protected and ways you can come enjoy the area as well. So come with me.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us here today at the Elk Country Visitor Center in Benezet, Pennsylvania, which is in Elk County. Now, of course, Elk County got its name because it was the last place in Pennsylvania that had wild elk, and that was a long time ago. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So here we are at the entrance to the Elk Country Visitor Center. It is a wonderful place to come and visit. We have many cool things inside to learn about this fascinating species that is found just in this part of the state. So come on inside. We can head into our great room here.
Wow.
That portrays many wildlife species that we have in Pennsylvania. And there you can see the Rocky Mountain elk. So the Rocky Mountain elk are only found in this part of the state. They're found in, the elk range is about 1,000 square miles, and it covers 10 counties. And they were actually reintroduced or brought back to Pennsylvania about 100 years ago. About 150 years ago, the last eastern woodland elk was killed in our state. And when the Pennsylvania Game Commission was established in 1895, they thought that because this was a native species, they should bring it back. And it has done very well, and it has worked out. So today in Pennsylvania, we have about 1,500 Rocky Mountain elk. And that population is slowly growing, and they are also spreading out. This is a male elk, which is called a bull. And they are going to weigh between 700 and 900 pounds when fully grown. They usually live to be 10 to 12 years of age. Moving over here, we see our state flower, the mountain laurel.
Oh, yes.
Above us, we see the eastern hemlock, which is our state tree. Here we see a baby elk, which is called a calf. And this is how big they are when they are born. When they are born in June, they weigh about 35 pounds. Because of their large size, elk only have one calf each year. You see the spots. This is a survival adaptation that helps them to blend in during those first couple of weeks when they are not very quick on their feet. And then we have the female, which is called a cow elk. And they're going to weigh between 400 and 600 pounds when fully grown. They live a little bit longer than the male elk do. They average to live between 12 and 16 years of age. One thing that's really cool about this place is we encourage touching. We encourage people to explore what we have inside. Over here we have a rack of furs of the different fur bearers in Pennsylvania. We have gray fox and coyotes and beavers and raccoons and skunks. And we encourage people to explore these items, feel them, touch them. And you know, there's a lot of places where you can't touch the things that are on display, but here at the Elk Country Visitor Center, we actually encourage that. We have touchscreen displays where you can learn about other wildlife species and other places to visit. We also have 3 live cameras, which are out on our grounds where the elk are found sometimes, as well as other wildlife. And we can take a look at those cameras right here inside, and we can manipulate those cameras. So if there are elk out in the field, we can actually zoom in on those. And we have a 4D theater here inside, which is really cool that people enjoy, and it's also very educational about our Pennsylvania elk herd. Like Miss Carolyn said, with you talking about the continent of Australia and the wildlife species that are found in Australia that aren't found many other places. So we may be talking about kangaroos, koala bears, and animal species like that. In this part of Pennsylvania, we have the Rocky Mountain elk. They are not found in most parts of Pennsylvania, and that is because of space. Elk require a lot of space. They are large animals. They travel large distances. They eat a lot. A Rocky Mountain elk can actually eat up to 25 pounds per day. And they are herbivores, so they eat only plants and plant materials. So you can imagine just how big of a salad a 25-pound salad would be. So these Rocky Mountain elk, they're not found in our neighboring states. They're not found in Ohio. They're not found in New York. They're just found in this small part of north central Pennsylvania. And they are special to this area, and that is because we have lots of wilderness, as you can see, lots of space for them, lots of forest, lots of food, and this is just a wonderful place for them to grow, develop, and be healthy. So this time of year, the bulls are growing their antlers, which are the fastest growing bone tissue in the world. Elk antlers can actually grow up to 1 inch a day, which is almost magical. They can do this because of the substance that protects the antlers. It's called velvet. It is soft and furry. Underneath that velvet, there are thousands of blood vessels that carry nutrients to all parts of the antler, and that is how they are able to grow so fast. They can grow very large, and they're only growing for 6 months. Elk grow a new set of antlers every year. They usually drop or shed their antlers in the months of March and April, and they start growing their new set of antlers right away.
So I wanted to ask you, Ben, as we walk, these trails, you want to stay on the shale, of course, and you have a set of trails to walk around?
Absolutely. So we have, I guess we have 4 short trails here at the Elk Country Visitors Center for people to explore. And we have viewing walls where they can view the elk as well as other wildlife species. And we want people to stay in these areas for a few reasons. First of all, safety. You don't want to get too close to the elk, even if it seems like at times they would allow you to get close to them, because they are wild. Elk are different than white-tailed deer. They're much larger, and it is easier to get closer to them. But you don't want to do that because, like I said, they are wild and they are unpredictable. But we're coming up here on one of our wildlife viewing walls. This gives people a world-class opportunity to view these elk and get some really great shots if they're photographers. And these fields are planted with some of the plants that elk like the best. So we plant these fields with things such as clover, timothy, alfalfa, bird's foot trefoil, and things like that. Earlier we were talking about the bull elk, the male elk, that grow these massive antlers and just how fast they grow. So it's really fascinating. Like I said, they grow a new set of these antlers every year. And they use these antlers to show off for the females, to show off for the cows during the mating season, which is in the fall. So a bull walks around with a large set of antlers, and the females are going to look at him as being mature, having good genetics, knowing where to find food, and these are all things that she would like to pass on to her young. They also fight with these antlers during the fall to establish dominance, to see who's the biggest, toughest, strongest, and healthiest, and who is going to have the most females.
Talking about the bull elk and the female elk, and during a special time of the year right here in central Pennsylvania, hundreds of thousands of people come here to hear something very special, right, Ben?
That's right. So elk, like most animals, communicate in many ways, and one of the ways is they talk to each other. Of course, they are not saying words like we are as humans, but they talk by making other sounds. Elk make some really cool sounds that you may not have ever heard before. I have some elk calls here, and I'd like to demonstrate to you what both males and females sound like. So we'll start with the females. Remember, the female elk are called cows, and this is the sound that they make.
Wow.
So the cows are going to be talking to the other cows to make sure that they stay together. A group of elk is called a herd. And then they're also going to be talking to their young to make sure they keep track of their calves. And then they're also going to be calling during that mating season, which is called the rut, to attract the bulls. So, moving into the bulls. The bulls make a much louder sound. Actually, it is very loud. It is so loud that if conditions are right, you can hear the bugle of a bull elk for up to a mile. And this is what it sounds like. And bulls are going to be doing that to let the females know where they are. They're also going to be bugling to challenge other bulls. So if one bull hears another bull, there may be a fight.
Unfortunately, Ben, our time is up with our walk today, but we had such a good time, and I know you would like the boys and girls and grown-ups to come back, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. This is a great place for families to visit. Lots to see, lots to learn about. So see everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.